Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for another show for the next episode of our Raw Reactions preview show, the show in which we look ahead to Arsenal's next fixture, get the thoughts of you guys in our chat box, look at how I think we might line up and get some ultimate predictions from everyone at the end. I hope you're well. I am shattered. Done a 12-mile bike ride today and it was horrifically wet at the end, it's fair to say, so I got soaked right through. I'm hoping that Arsenal's day tomorrow isn't as horrible and miserable as the end of my bike ride was. But it certainly is going to be a tough game. Sheffield United have come off the back of a really strange restart. They've struggled in the games that they've played. They've had men sent off. They've had some injuries, O'Connell being one of their big ones, obviously, losing John Egan as well. But it's going to be really weird, I think, to see a lineup come out, because the lineup that I've sort of gone for is, I mean, if the lineup is the same as what I've picked here, I will be very, very surprised, because it's a very left field line from me, it's fair to say. And I was racking my brain trying to think, well, who can he play? Who's he played so far? Are these players going to be fit? I just don't know. But hello, everyone in the chat box. Thank you ever so much for tuning in. Omar says, I think this is the perfect time to play for Sheffield United. They have struggled badly since the restart and look all over the place, especially defensively. I think we can win this one. Fingers crossed. That is the thing I'm looking at mostly, to be fair, is that they have struggled. Arsenal are coming off the back of a win. You'd hope that confidence may be up. Maybe we're in for a bit of a surprise. And also the fact that even though this is an away game, with the fact that there being no crowd at all, there's nothing to boost Sheffield United in that sense. It is once again just 11 against 11 and best team wins at the end of the day. So I'm fingers crossed we can do something. Avon says this lineup will be interesting to see. I think they might be a fair bit of rotation. That's where my head's at as well, for sure. 81194 says, surely Ozil starts this one. Well, I've not picked him, but we'll have a look at that in just a sec. Asmit says there's lag. Oh, I'm sorry if there's lag. Apologies. The internet in this area must not be having the best time this evening. Maybe it's you, who knows? But let me know if you're having connectivity issues with the stream. Let's jump straight into our lineup then of what I have picked for the game. So I've gone with the back five, similar to what we saw against Southampton. The back three stays the same. I thought Tierney did really, really well on that left centre-back slot there. I thought he did really well. I'm not going to risk Matt Macey. I don't think we're already on our second goalkeeper. We don't need to bring our third one in for the cup games. We just don't. Mustafi has been absolutely fine since coming back. Holding was a man of the match against Southampton. For once, I'm feeling fairly confident about our centre-backs. How funny is that? And we've got three of them. Cedric, I've put in because supposedly he was vying for contention. Bellerin has played 3 full 90-minute matches since Project Restart, and it's fair to say they've not been great. So I'm putting Cedric there. There is some things that could happen. We might see Mainsley, those that have been watching the show for a long time know that's what we call him. We could see Mainsley playing at right wing back. Who knows? Saka at left back is going to be really key. Clive Palmer, thank you, Clive, for tuning in, mate. He says Kolasinac he thinks is going to play. But does that mean, Clive, that you think Saka's not going to play? Because that's a really sort of interesting position. Saka could be moved into that midfield role that we saw him occupy against Brighton. And then looking at the midfield, Xhaka has to play. It's bottom line. Xhaka has to play for Arsenal to have any chance of winning whatsoever, it seems. The win percentage with Xhaka in and with Xhaka not in is a joke. And whilst I say this every time with the caveat that, no, I'm not saying that Granit Xhaka is an amazing footballer. But the point that I'm making is that he needs to be in the squad. Xhaka must be in the squad for Arsenal's system to work. I've gone with Joe Willock, obviously going off the back of some really good confidence scoring a goal against Southampton. He was energetic when he came on, 100%. And Ainsley Maitland-Niles I've put in the midfield because I just think we need a little bit more defensive power in that midfield and a little bit more versatility in terms of like agility and speed, which Mainsley gives you in that midfield too. T-Song says, is that Tierney at centre-back? Yes, that's where he's played. That's where he played the last game. He played at left centre-back. And I thought it worked really, really well. I thought he supported Saka exceptionally in that game. Omar says Cedric isn't fit, I think. Well, it's a weird one with Cedric because if we looked at the words from the club that they put out recently, they said that he's fighting to be in contention for this game. So that's why I've put him in there. If Cedric isn't fit, I think Ainsley Maitland-Niles should fit into that slot. Then you can think about bringing possibly Ceballos in, or, I mean, if Arteta thinks about it, Ozil. But it's a really... Ozil's situation is so difficult to try and judge. I don't know if we're going to see him again this season in terms of on the pitch. His attitude just doesn't seem to be matching and the desire that Arteta wants from the squad. I really don't know. 81194 says Saka won't play after the press conference where Arteta said he feels like some of our youth players might be getting a bit too much playtime. I don't know if that's necessarily true because Saka is a different element. You play your best players in the big games. The FA Cup is our best competition to be playing in at the moment. It's the only thing we can really look at as a viable form of some credit at the end of the season. The Premier League for me is just not there. It's just not there to be gleaned from. It really isn't. And I think we need to play our strongest players. Now, I've gone for a front two, which is just not something I like picking. But I can't work out how else Arsenal are going to line up at the moment because of who is and isn't available and who's not firing. And Nketiah obviously scoring against Southampton could very easily play. We could see Pepe still play, although he didn't have the best of games, I thought, against Southampton, although that was very much affected by Bellerin's performance. Lacazette surely does come in now, having not played from the start in quite a few of our fixtures so far this season. Aubameyang just seems to play no matter what. Without Aubameyang, we just don't seem to score anywhere near as many goals this season, and he has to play. He's the club captain, and he has to play. I don't think this is the game that you rest him in. If you're going to rest Aubameyang, rest him against Norwich and play someone in that position instead, because I just think he has to play. It's so important. It's so important. Clive says, we have Wolves, Spurs, lots of teams above us to play. Alba, Saka, Tierney must rest. Yeah, I get that, Clive. What I'm saying is the FA Cup is our best competition at the moment. What's the point in resting players in the quarter-final of the FA Cup? It really boggles my mind that people can be putting the FA Cup to one side or as a lesser priority than the league at this stage in time. It really does boggle my mind. However, I do agree that Luiz is probably going to be in contention for this game for sure, coming off the back of 2 rests with his suspension. To be honest, I completely forgot the guy existed, and it was quite a blissful time, and now you've reminded me, Clive, so thanks for that, mate. Now I have to think about David Luiz again. And Sim reckons that he's probably going to be putting Luiz in the middle of that back 3 as well. Ryedawg says, Ozil is being driven out for things that have nothing to do with playing the game. We're stuck with 18.5 million for next season anyways. Might as well play them. I think the principles of the coach need to come ahead of quite a few things, in fairness. Chris says Tierney and Saka will be given rest more likely. Oh, this rest thing, I don't get it. Why? Why do we rest people in the quarterfinal of the FA Cup? What has the world come to? What is it? The league's gone. Why? We're 2 wins away from the final, and people want to rest. Not rest. Maybe they're saying they predict that they'll be rested. But why? Please tell me in the chat. Please tell me in the chat. Why would you rest players? Are you really thinking that the league is still there for us? Because I know that it's only like 5 points away from some of the clubs above us, and I know that 5th spot could be a Champions League place. I get that. I really do. But I just don't see it happening. Let's be really real about the game against Southampton. We won the game, but for, I'd say 70% of that game, it felt like we weren't going to. It felt like we weren't going to win that game. An equaliser was destined, and somehow Southampton just didn't do it. I just don't get why people think all of a sudden we need to rest players. They've just had 3 months off. Oh, no, that's a silly statement. Even as saying that, I know that that's a silly statement because having 3 months off makes them more vulnerable. But still, I just don't get it. Some of the players like Bellerin, I think, need to be taken out of the firing line. But Holding was man of the match against Southampton. Mustafi has done nothing wrong. Tierney has done really well at that left centre-back spot against Southampton. And Saka is our best player, hands down. Aubameyang has to play. Lacazette probably comes in for Nketiah. Xhaka has to play. The only two players that I've really got a question mark on are Willock and Mainsley, because that could easily be Ceballos, it could easily be Ozil, it could easily be someone else. It could easily be Guendouzi if he's got his head screwed on again. I do not expect this to be the team. I do not expect. I said that at the start. I've picked a very left field team. I don't expect it to be this. I think it would be interesting. I think we just need. It's just a combination of players that I feel have to play this game. But yeah, I just don't get the resting thing. I don't understand it, and no one's yet explained to themselves either in the chat box. I've been reading through all these comments, trying to find some reasoning. Sim sums us up really, really well as well. We need momentum, not too much change. And momentum is really, really key. It was so important to get the win against Southampton, to just give yourselves that little bit of extra boost going into that next game. And we need to keep that flowing. We need to keep our best players playing. I know that because we've got an extended rest over the summer. We're not going to be in Europe. There's time to work on that on the pitch. There's going to be a big rest. Play our best team. It's as simple as that. Avon says, teams left in the FA Cup include Chelsea, Man City, Man United. Maybe the club will feel we aren't going to win it either. And Euro football will be done through the league. Yeah, I mean, I still don't see us qualifying in the league, to be honest. Because if you look at the teams above us that are fighting for that position, you've got Leicester, you've got Chelsea that are arguably going to be the two that get Champions League spots behind Liverpool. You know, Leicester have struggled recently. And then you've got Wolves and Man United. And I can't see us getting past Wolves and Man United right now. I cannot see it. Wolves are fantastic. Wolves are a brilliant, brilliant football club right now. Can't see them dropping points enough that we'd overtake them. And Spurs are above us as well. And Spurs seem to be coming back as well after their recent couple of wins under Mourinho. So where on earth we're going to pick up the points that we need and win the games against the likes of Wolves and Leicester and Spurs? I don't see it happening right now. And I think people need to be a little bit more realistic about Arsenal's opportunities this season. It's going to be so, so difficult to do that. So there we go. That's my thoughts. Sorry for the short show, but I'm off out and I'm absolutely shattered, as I said already, and I need a good night's sleep tonight. I hope you've enjoyed your day. I hope you've enjoyed the show. Please drop a like on the video. Even if you disagree with my lineup, which I wouldn't be surprised if you did, please drop a like on the video. Tomorrow there'll be a show straight after the game doing a reaction to it, and then the podcast again on Monday. And also, there's two podcasts on Monday because you're going to get the Tactical Breakdown podcast and the regular TGT podcast as well. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel to get both of those. Prediction. Yes, Omar. Don't let me forget. I always forget to do the prediction. Please, in the chat, put what you put down. What do you think the score's going to be? I'm going to stick with what I said yesterday, which is a very cagey 1-0 win with Cedric to score if he plays. Optimistic beyond anything else. Optimistic beyond anything else. Let's have a look at what you guys are saying. Omar says 1-2 to the Arsenal. Chris says 2-1 win as well. I love the positivity. It's good to see us that our mindset has turned, and that's really, really good. 81194 says 2-1 Arsenal. Avon reckons 1-0 to the Arsenal. See, it's nice, isn't it? It's nice to have some positivity in the chat box again. It's really good. Ryedawg says 3-0. Sheffield are done. Loving this. Corey says 3-0 to the Arsenal. So there you go. There's some really positive vibes coming out of the game. Really appreciate everyone that's tuned in today. Please drop a like on the video to let me know that you've appreciated the time that goes into these shows. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and become a member and get access to some exclusive content and even the chance to come on the show if you want to become an expert member next month. So other than that, it's been a real pleasure and I'll see you soon. And as always, up the Arsenal.